Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Campus Connect. I am your host, Ileen Brown, and we are broadcasting from Kentucky State University's College of Agriculture, Food Sciences, and Sustainable Systems. On today's show, I will have with me Ms. Diamond Gordon, Bria Perry, and later on Stephanie Durr, and we will be talking about women of power here on campus. This is something you don't want to miss. Stay tuned. You're watching Campus Connect. Hello and welcome back to Campus Connect. I have with me here Ms. Diamond Gordon, our president of our SGA department here, as well as Ms. Bria Perry. So, Diamond, I would like to ask you, what inspired you to become president here at the university?
It was more so like becoming a freshman, like coming in as a freshman and seeing a lot of things here on campus that I felt there needed a significant change to, and it was just really one of those where it was like you need to be the change that you want to see. So I told myself to put myself in a position to make those things possible and to where the students felt wanted and heard.
And for you, Ms. Perry, what inspired you to become second vice?
Well, I was a commuter student, and the second vice president caters to the commuter students. And I was going through a really tough time just finding apartments, trying to transition from one to another, and, you know, different things like that. So I was really inspired because I wanted to help other fellow commuter students.
Okay. So when running during the spring, what would you say was probably the most hectic thing you ever had to endure, Diamond?
Running during the springtime. I would have to say it was just making sure that I had a good campaign team, making sure I had like appealing accessories and stuff, and also knew what I was talking about, knew the ins and outs of the position, because like serving on SGA before, there was a lot of hidden things that the previous SGA president did that nobody really saw. So like being student region, because aside from me being SGA president, I also serve on the board of regents. So I wanted to make sure that I knew the Constitution in and out, as well as knowing like what things to expect being put in both positions. So I would have to say it was that, and trying to also make sure that any questions that was thrown my way, I was able to give a steady and reasonable response.
Okay. Now, for those who don't know, our SGA is our Student Government Association here on campus. So that's basically like, you know, at your elementary school, your student council, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, back in the day, I was student council president, in the fourth grade. So, I mean, it's nowhere near on the scale of yours, but I got a little taste, just a little bit. But for you, Bria, what would you say was one of your most exciting moments during elections?
One of my most exciting moments during elections will have to be the debate. Because I feel like the debate is the perfect time for you to really, even though you're answering questions and, you know, you're rebuttaling, it's really a time for you to get exactly what you stand for across to the student body. So I had my aha moment when I got asked one of the questions that I highly anticipated, and I was like, I'm ready for this. This is why I ran. I knew somebody would ask me this. I'm going to blow them out the water. So luckily that question was asked, and then, you know, I kind of had that,
I got this.
Yeah, I got this moment, and then the student body, I feel like, I guess, kind of gained the respect for me and actually wanted me to be in this position from my answer, because they saw that I was prepared and I was ready to take on the challenges and do something different.
Okay. So let's see. When I hear about our campaign and election and madness and everything, it's always to me a crazy time, because you see everybody moving at 100 miles an hour in every different direction. When it came to preparation, what was something that you felt was something you needed to keep in mind during the whole process, Diamond?
Something that stayed in my mind that I told myself was that you need to stay focused and stay true to yourself throughout all of this. So do not sit up here and go to all these different people saying that you're going to deliver X, Y, and Z and then get in this position and not do anything. So that was something that I told myself, especially running unopposed. So it was really one of those like, all right, because I really didn't have to campaign heavy, but I did just to really show the students that like I may not have competition, but I'm ready for this, like I care, and making sure that I stayed to my word throughout the year and put in my head, like, you know, you're a part of other organizations, you're a mom, so you just need to make sure that the students is comfortable knowing that you are going to be in this position, dealing with your outside obligations as well. So it was heavy for me to also tell myself that you're really going to need to adapt and make sure that you try to not have any off days. If you have some, cool, you know, you're still a student at the end of the day, but your representation of your university as well as the student body. So you really can't, you got to be on it. You can't really have no off days.
Now, you said you wanted to be someone, you know, that's represented well. So what would be one of your key components that you think of when you're trying to consciously represent yourself? Because you're in such a big spotlight on campus and in front of everyone, as well as, you know, alumni, the community, things like that. How do you try to portray yourself? Is it different than your normal self, or is it borderline the same?
It's definitely, like, I'm definitely still myself. I just have to be mindful of certain things that I say and do. I have to remind myself that, like, there might be situations that pop up that student Diamond will be ready to snap about or, like, really go in about. But I have to remind myself that I have this title, so I need to maybe approach it a different way and try and see if there's like any type of middle ground that could be covered. I would also say, like, it's presentation. It's the way that you carry yourself that where people will take you serious. If I'm constantly, excuse my attire today, but if I'm constantly, you know, just wearing sweatpants and trying to go to the president's office or go to the general counsel's office to talk some business, just my presentation alone, they're not going to take me seriously. And that's not even just here. Like, oh, I could say, oh, I'm SGA president. Well, you don't look like an SGA president right now. You know, as it shouldn't necessarily be like that, but that's how it is. You need to carry yourself to what you're standing for. So, but definitely with situations, like, still to this day, I battle it, but I also tell myself I'm not going to let my voice be silent either. I'm not going to be a yes ma'am, no ma'am type person either. If something doesn't feel right, I'm going to let you know about it, especially if it's not for the best interest for my students. So they may have an issue with that, but at the end of the day, that's what the students voted me for. So, yeah, I gotta go hard for y'all.
I appreciate it as a student. I do. So, Ms. Perry, when you're in your position, what is one of the things that you like to keep in mind as second vice?
I like to keep in mind, well, first of all, I feel like a lot of the commuter students, they come to me and they might have an issue, but it might not necessarily be something that I can handle alone. So I like to always, you know, keep in mind that I am part of an executive board. I can't go to my president. I can't go to my first vice president or the miss or the mister. You know, we're a team. So I like to keep that in mind when students come to me and I kind of feel like pressured or I get kind of nervous because I feel like, oh, well, I got to help them. I got to deliver to the students, but I might not necessarily know how. So then it's, you know, that's when I pick up the phone and I call somebody else and I say, hey, I need some help so I can help somebody else, you know. So I like to keep in mind that this is a team effort, you know, I'm not doing this alone. Everybody plays their part.
Okay. So I see everywhere, #Gordon administration. Everywhere, all over social media. So when you talk about your executive board and everyone, all of your pieces to our giant puzzle, our working piece, what is something that you like to do to make sure that everyone is on track together? Is it something that feels like a family, or is it something that's just more, we going to work?
It's definitely a family feeling. You know, families, they have their ups and downs. One thing that really helped this executive board was the bonding that we spent at KLA and NASAP over the summer. And of course, like, we really didn't get to do it so much this semester, but also last semester in the beginning, we was able to, like, like meet up and do little things together, like go out and actually talk stuff. But I also talk about like things that we're going through as students as well. Because it's like if we're going through it, 9 times out of 10, there's other students that's not in these positions going through it. One thing that I really like with my executive board is although we have set duties that are listed in the Constitution, we go above and beyond those. So, for instance, she's over public relations and commuter students, but there's times where I can call Bria and I may ask her to, like, hey, I need you to be at this event or something, write down such and such and such, something that my secretary would do. Or just, hey, like, me and you, we gonna take over Springfest. Like, me and you, we gonna be in charge of Springfest. That's totally out of, like, her duties and stuff. But one thing that I really want to make sure with my e-board is that we divide and conquer and that everybody's feeling involved. And it doesn't necessarily have to be their job and duty role. Right. So that's what also helps. And because there might be things that pop up throughout the school year that may not necessarily cater to their role, like Mr. and Miss. Like, you know, their main ones is like women's and men's conference and homecoming, coronation and stuff. So then it's like, what's next? They've been helping like with Black History Month, planning ways and doing things that still cater to the young men and women on campus. So with Black History Month, I know Mr. KSU, he did like a KSU Men's March and took the men around campus like to Jackson Hall and to ASB to see the museum and stuff like that. He didn't necessarily have to, but that's still keeping him involved and also catering to Black History Month. So we definitely divide and conquer.
That is so fantastic. Oh, it just makes me so happy. Okay, so we will be right back after this short break. When we come back, we will have Miss Stephanie Durr with us to talk about all of her wonderful duties. You don't want to miss this. You're watching Campus Connect.
My name is Jeremy Sandifer. I'm the STEM project coordinator for here at Kentucky State University. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. I run a series of STEM-based educational programs that seek to connect youth to STEM-based opportunities, research, and other opportunities here at the university. Part of our STEM efforts involves the STEM Scholar Program, and this is a program for undergraduate and graduate students. We work under the direction of Dr. Booty Gwali in the College of Agriculture. He has a series of research programs that look at human and environmental interactions in eastern Kentucky, and each of our STEM scholars play some role in that, pushing that research forward. All the jobs of the future involve some aspect of science, technology, engineering, or math, and we're really pursuing those avenues here at Kentucky State.
My name is Dr. John Sudlicek. I'm an entomologist here in the College of Agriculture, Food Science, and Sustainable Systems at Kentucky State University. In my research in the entomology laboratory, we study conservation biological control. We attract beneficial insects such as lady beetles, lacewings, big-eyed bugs, predators, predatory insects, to cropping systems such as blackberries and sweet corn. We attempt to do that so we can reduce the amount of synthetic pesticides that are used. If we attract beneficial insects to feed on the pest insects in those crops, we can lower the total pesticide load in the environment. We have experiential learning opportunities for undergraduates in our laboratory, conducting research in the beneficial insects that occur above ground and those that occur at ground level. I invite you to come to our laboratory and see what we're doing, and we would like for you to consider Kentucky State University as a university that you could attend.
My name is Turquoise Brown Patterson. I'm a nutrition program assistant at Kentucky State University through the Expanded Food Nutrition Education Program. This is a federally funded program through the USDA, and the purpose of this program is to serve limited resource families and children and educate them on basic cooking skills, food safety, fitness, and also food resource management. Our overall goal at Kentucky State University is to serve the community by teaching healthier ways of living.
Welcome back to Campus Connect. So in honor of Women's Week, have here with us Miss Stephanie Durr. So as we were talking, we touched on Women's Week that you did here. So the one event that I did actually get to go to was KSU's Girls Rock,
Right.
their award show, which they put on every year. And I want to say this is the 5th annual. This was the first time I've ever actually been to. I've always heard about how fantastic they are. So I actually got to go for the first time in my 3 years being here, and it was really great, really great. There were tons of different people who did acts. They sang, they did spoken word, there was dancing. I was actually a part of the show with Gospel Ensemble, and we did a couple numbers. And I saw that you got a certain award this year. What was it called?
I received the Queen of All Trades award.
So that award, what does it entail?
Well, the Queen of All Trades is basically somebody on campus who wears many hats and executes very well in those hats that she wears. So the campus saw those qualities in me and nominated me for the award, and I received it for the second time. I got it last year too.
Ooh, look at that. 2 years in a row, back to back. So when you get nominated for something such as those awards, is it campus oriented where the campus votes for you, or is it a board that does it?
It's campus. They make like a Google document type of thing, and they provide a link for students on campus, and you click the link and they show you the different awards that you can nominate people for, and you just type in the name who you feel like best fits.
Okay. So let's get into a little bit about you, Miss. So what inspired you to become or run for Miss Kentucky State University?
My biggest inspiration had to be the people around me, and not necessarily my peers, but younger people, like underclassmen, who would always tell me, like, I look up to you and you're so strong and you do this and you do that. And I think that I needed to be in a position to where I could touch the masses, you know, and I would have the things that I needed to execute and do that, you know, effectively. So I wanted to run for Miss KSU because I wanted to be an even bigger example to young ladies on campus, even incoming freshmen or people who have been here since my freshman year. I saw the growth in myself, yet I knew that I needed to grow more, and I knew that being in this position would help work on me and some of the things, you know, my insecurities are the things that I need to work on to become a better woman. And when you're in a position like this, you can't act like you used to act. So I think that I needed the position more than the position needed me, because I needed it to help finish molding me. Within these past 4 years, I've been through a lot, but this senior year and being Miss KSU really helped mold me into a better woman. So I feel like I'm more prepared to face adversities confidently, ladylike, not necessarily stepping out of my character to address certain issues. It really helped me just become a more real-rounded woman.
That's really nice. That's really nice. You know, when you ask people certain questions like these, you don't get elaborate answers like that. You just don't. So when you were saying, you know, how it helped you mature more into a better person, is there any examples you can give that worked on?
The way that I react to situations. Before, I would react off of emotions and anger, but now that I'm in this position, I need to react more off of thoughts. And, you know, I think things through. I'm learning to think before I speak, not just, you know, say the first thing that comes to mind, but really analyze and think about the things, my thoughts, and I need to filter my thoughts so that when I speak, you know, I can still address what I need to address without being disrespectful, without crossing any lines, without degrading anybody. I can still get my point across without having to do anything extra. So that's, in a sense, that's the most thing that I can see the improvement in.
Okay. That's good. A lot of people don't get that, you know?
Yeah,
So
I needed that.
It takes a lot for someone to realize what they need to grow in rather than, you know, just saying, I'm fine, I got it, you know what I mean? And that gives you a lot in my book, personally. So let's see. What would be one woman that you look up to, whether it be personal, in history? Who is someone who has had a big impact on your life?
My mother, because you said personal. My mom. I'm the first to go to college from my mom and my dad and any of my siblings. So my mom didn't know anything about financial aid. She didn't know anything about college in general as far as helping me get here. I did a lot of stuff on my own, but once my mom saw how passionate I was about it, it made her become more passionate about it. To the point where now I have a brother, he's a senior in high school. She's doing what she needs to do now to make sure that he doesn't have to go through the things that I went through with financial aid and trying to find funding for school and scholarships and things of that nature. So I think that my mom is my biggest inspiration because regardless of the things that she lacks, you can't tell because she always makes it happen for her children. Me coming to school probably wasn't the most financial thing that she could do. Financially, she couldn't support, but what she could do, she did. You know, if she had to take out a Parent Plus loan, she didn't think twice about it. She didn't second guess it. She said, whatever you need to do to make sure you can stay in school, we're going to do it, and we can worry about the rest of it later.
See, that's a mama.
Yeah, you know, and that inspires me because it puts me in a mindset, just because I know that's my mom, but if something needs to be done for someone, regardless of what kind of position is going to put you in that moment, you got to understand that the end point is going to be the greatest reward.
Right.
You know, what the person does with the gift that you gave them is going to be the greatest reward. So that's how my mom inspires me. She just inspires me to be a better giver, a more compassionate lover, more supportive, and things of that nature.
Because, you know, that's what moms do, though. You know, that's a mom's role. And that's how you know that they love you, where they just go
They'll
through.
put their last.
Absolutely.
They'll give you their last.
My mom has done that a few times, you know. My mom been that rock.
Hold it down.
Yep, holding it down. So when you talk about women in history, because you are a part of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, how has that been, you know, a big part of your life? What was it about that particular sorority that made you go, this is me?
Well, aside from having many Deltas in my family who have been influential in one aspect or another, the organization's principles and ideas is what stands out to me the most. It kind of opened my eyes up to things that were way bigger than me. It helped me to understand that in order to be a better woman, a strong woman, you have to serve. It's a service organization above all things. So the service aspect is what stood out the most to me because when they were first, you know, founded, their first act was the Women's Suffrage March. So they were marching for us to have the opportunity to work, to go to school, to get an education, to have a family, to be a manager, to have high roles in the workforce and things of that nature. And it inspired me because they did that march in the midst of racism and discrimination and things of that nature, but they were my age, you know, so it's kind of like if they can do that then, being 19, 20, 21, their parents telling them not to go, not to do it because you can get killed, you can get hung, anything can happen to you, but all that didn't matter because they knew what their purpose was and they were walking in their purpose. So that's what stood out the most to me about Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was the fact that they were game changers. They didn't sit in the back whimpering, complaining about the things that were going on. They actually put a foot forward to be the change to help impact, to help be the next step in history so that we can have the opportunity to work and get an education and have a family and study abroad and go different places and not be discriminated because we are women and because we are African American, but because we have the qualities, we have the intelligence, we have the integrity, and we have the strength to do those things. So that's what stood out the most to me about Delta.
I just love your answers, I'm telling you. Okay, so when you look at a person, well, I take that back. Throughout history, you have seen many women who are part of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated inside of history who have done tons and tons of important things in our history. So is there one in particular that you can think of that, you would say made the biggest impact for you?
To me, it would have to be Shirley Chisholm. She was the first Black woman in Congress, and she also ran for president. And I think that is phenomenal. That is, like I said, that comes along with being a game changer, with being able to step out on faith and walk in your purpose. She had a purpose. She knew what she wanted to do. She knew how she wanted to get it done. And she didn't let the things that the world or society deemed to be a setback set her back. She still continued to do what she wanted to do and achieve those goals, even though she may not have won presidency. But at the end of the day, she still took the initiative to try. When back then, being a woman, being Black, and trying to run for president, it was kind of like, you got 3 odds against you already.
It was unheard of at the time.
But she didn't care. She knew what she wanted to do. So she would have to be one of the most influential women to me in Delta.
That's fabulous. Okay, so I want to thank you for being here on the show with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. And we would love to have you back another time to talk about any and every other thing. So thank you for tuning in for another exciting episode of Campus Connect. I am your host. This has been Miss Stephanie Durr. And we would like to invite you back for another great episode of Campus Connect. I'm your host, Ileen Brown.